Welcome to the House and House Essentials, and today we're joined by two of the best in off-plan real estate in Dubai. So Stephen and Paul, love to have you on the program.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Josh.
So
nice to see you again.
What I want to do is that I want to get to the basics, because I know that we've got lots of people and they're asking the question of why would you come and be in sales and sell off-plan in Dubai? What are your thoughts, Paul? Let's kick that conversation away.
Well, first of all, I think you'd be working in probably the best place in the world to begin with. Secondly, your job would be extremely exciting. You'd meet lots of different people from all over the world.
Yeah.
And it will be a life changer for your future, in my opinion.
Stephen, what are your thoughts about off-plan and why Dubai?
So, well, why Dubai is it seems to me that almost everyone in the world wants to come and live in Dubai right now.
Yeah.
We've got a market, a property market, which just seems to get better and better every year. I don't just mean in terms of volume, it's legislation, safety, etc., and people investing here. It's just a really good story to tell people.
Do you feel that it's because of the vision that's been set of things like the Dubai 2040 plan, the conversations around what's happening with the visionary architecture, the infrastructure that's being built, just the conversation about the determination of the size of population, which is pretty rare to find anywhere else in the world where they're talking about what they want their population rate to be?
I think one of the things you've got to look back on is that when you look back on the statements that Sheikh Mohammed's been making over the last 30 years, I'm pretty sure that everything he's announced has come off and has been successful. So I think that to have a visionary leader like that, and I genuinely believe this, he wants to create the nicest place to live, the safest, no tax, no crime, no violence, a lovely place to live, and continually trying to make it better. That is his vision.
So do you feel that literally Dubai has been one of those transit cities where people have come for a couple of years, and if they didn't make it, they would go, versus now we're actually getting people that are saying, hey, this is rest of life stuff, like I'm moving here for a long term?
Look, Paul and I have been here almost 20 years each, and I think very much at the beginning, 20 years ago, that's exactly what people were doing. They were coming here 1 year, 2 years, hardship posting. The employers were chucking benefits at them to make sure that they stay a bit longer, etc. I think over the last 10, 15 years, people are now settling here for life. I'm sure lots of people maybe think that I'm just going to come here for a couple of years, and they actually end up staying a lot longer. I think we're two good examples of that, and almost everybody we're talking to at the moment is they have a plan to emigrate here. It's not just coming here for a year or so.
And also too, I think the big conversation is that there's a lot of aging infrastructure around the world, and you're coming to a city that's got brand new infrastructure and continues to keep on rebuilding its infrastructure, that as demand continues to shift, new airports, new conversations around what's happening, new global hubs around what's going on. It's unbelievable to kind of see.
The difference, I believe, is that if you look at, say, the UK now, so they've just had the budget, they've just raised taxes again, so effectively they're paying off debt. So Dubai, or the UAE, has just announced a massive surplus. Now, of that massive surplus, they're going to reinvest that back into the UAE to make it even better place for us to live now and in the future.
Yeah.
No, who else does that in the world?
Yeah. It's exactly true.
Every single week at the moment. In fact, almost 2 or 3 times a week at the moment. It's difficult to keep up with all the announcements that the government's making about new infrastructure, new exhibition centres, new locations, new cities, etc. within a city. What is it? Palm Jebel Ali. The amount of coastline that's being extended here, etc. It's just phenomenal. And it's look, we've been here for quite some time, and we've seen some pretty bold announcements from the government, and we've looked at each other and thought, really?
Yeah.
And it's happened. It happened, and it seems to happen almost overnight.
Yeah. So there was a time in House and House's history that off-plan was not a major section in terms of a service line. It was there, but it wasn't necessarily one of the major drivers. We now see it as being a huge driver in Dubai and a huge driver inside of what's happening at House and House. Why do you think that that off-plan is actually a career choice for real estate salespeople?
I think that going back to your first point of saying that the off-plan market was not non-existent but very, very slow for a number of years, I'd say probably from 2015 to 2020, but also after the crash of 08, you know, for a good three years, people, I mean, off-plan in Dubai was like a swear word, just because of the crash. But when you fast forward to now, and with all the regulations that Dubai's put in place, all the safeguards for the investors, what we also know is, you know, the property they're building now is of such a higher standard to what they used to build, that when you're selling off-plan, you know you're selling a great product, which is going to deliver into the future, into a nice community. So what we're saying and what we're selling with absolute belief and trust, because that's been built over the last 20 years of us being there and them delivering.
Yeah, so and we've got facts and figures now that we can base any investments decisions on. We've got some history. We know what sort of rents. We know what works. We know what doesn't work, etc. We're much better placed these days to recommend investment opportunities to people based on historical facts.
So there's good track record of rental return, there's track record of capital growth, there's track record of projects of both. There's also a track record around developers, around who's actually delivered really good quality projects and maybe others that you would steer clear of. But also too, there's a conversation about there's a real benefit in buying from an estate agent as opposed to just buying developer direct. And that's about really understanding, you know, the projects and getting the right advisory. What does it take to be great in off-plan? Like if I'm going to come here and I'm going to say, okay, great, I'm going to set up, I'm going to be a salespeople, I'm going to join your team. What are some of the things that you think are unique characteristics that make someone seriously good in this environment?
It's a funny thing you say that. I mean, we've always said, because of you know, some of the Dubai agents, or a majority of the Dubai agents aren't very good. If you can actually just turn up on time, then that's the first thing you've actually done correctly. So there's a chance you're going to be successful. But basically, if you can have a conversation and if you can pick up the phone with a bit of confidence and have a good conversation, then there's every chance that you could be a successful off-plan agent in Dubai.
And you can build relationships. You have to build relationships, and you have to be very fast at building relationships and building trust in what you have to say. So that's why sort of knowing the history of Dubai, knowing what's going on, knowing not everything about the market. It's almost impossible to know everything about all the different developments and all the different buildings, etc. But at least have a very good story to tell people, the true story, I mean.
And so is this important about like building or development or area specialisation, that if you say, hey, I really want to know that particular building really well or that particular area really well, and I'm going to learn everything I can, because that's going to make me better when an inquiry comes in and might be able to work with the buyers?
Yeah, I mean, the way we like to work is because we deal mainly with investors, so we're always on the lookout for what we believe to be the best investments. And where we look, you know, we can go through periods of time where there could be some good opportunities but not great opportunities, and then we go for other periods where there could be like 2 or 3 projects where we have absolute belief in, and depending on the price and the budget and the type of client who wants to buy, that we believe that we will successfully sell those 3 developments based on all the information we've received. We do all our due diligence and research before we offer any development to our clients.
Yeah. I think I mean, there's probably a new launch literally every single day at the moment. It is, I mean, they say every 19 hours. I don't know how true that is, but let's say it's every day. And we as a team all, I don't say we're huddled together, we certainly discuss every new project that's coming out. And we probably only go down to probably 10% of them we're actually happy and confident that we can recommend them for one reason or another to our investors.
And so this is interesting about the whole conversation around, like, what does it take to actually generate revenue and be able to hit budget and then to actually start to make money as an off-plan salesperson? Have you got any ideas on all of that and what it would take for me if I came and joined?
I think it's all the obvious things, you know. I mean, the amount of information you can get on Dubai now, whether it's podcasts, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Google, it's so. I mean, I look back 15 years ago when we were taking phone calls, and it really was the unknown, you know, and you was a little bit in the dark. The difference is now is, you know, you can find out all about Dubai from your living room. You can pick up a phone and speak to somebody in Dubai who will more than be happy to have a chat with you. I mean, I've had people call me just asking about what's it like to live in Dubai. You know, and from that they end up wanting to move to Dubai and possibly buying somewhere. But that's how it is.
So, Stephen, from your point of view, like if you were saying a discipline is important, having conversations conversations with people, being able to pick up the phone, is there that much inquiry that's coming that there's plenty of inquiry for you to sort through from all the different projects over the years and just go back through and find investors who might want to buy again, do multiple transactions, or people that are attracted to new investment opportunities in this part of the world?
I think it would be a mistake to rely totally on new inquiries. New inquiries tend to take time to, the sales cycle is fairly long, medium to long term anyway. It's very rare for someone to just give you a call and say, I want to buy this property, help me out. I think you need to work hard and you need to make calls. You need to make a lot of calls to get to the right people and the right conversations. But the more you do, the better you'll get at it, and the more successful you'll be at. But if you think you're just going to sit at a desk and wait for people to come to you, it doesn't work like that.
So, Paul, in terms of learning how to qualify, learning how to be confident on the phone, what do you do to be able to work out who's really a buyer today and who maybe might need some further assistance before they become a buyer?
I mean, that's one of those questions where really it depends on the client you're talking to how you react to what they're telling back to you. I mean, one of the things that I will always do, just as a rule, which I've done for years, is that when if a client comes to me and says, I'm looking for an investment, but I want your advice, whatever I offer that client, say 3 options, there will be 3 options I have absolute belief in, and I will back that up with any objection. So in my absolute honest opinion, that is a good investment. We know that some agents, they send anything hoping that buyer will like one of them. But we're saying to our buyers, no, we're different. We look through to get the best options and then we offer them to you. So you haven't got to decide what's the good or bad option. You've got to decide on the option which suits your business strategy.
I will add to that is that one of the things we do, I know Paul and I both do it, is we talk to the client and find out exactly what his expectations are. What are your requirements? What's your timescales? We qualify them as to what their strategy is. What's your end game? What's your exit? If you do have an exit, etc. So if once we know all those, then we can come in with suggestions of watch properties that fit your requirements, and that's so important because what we're finding in the market, there's a lot of agents out there. Maybe they're experts in one particular developer, but that's all they talk about. And if you go to a developer directly, what are they going to talk about? They're only going to talk about their own properties. Whereas we have a fairly wide overview of everything that's available, but we also need to understand what that client wants first. And once we understand what the client is looking for and is expecting, then we can make our recommendations based on the due diligence we've done with all the other projects that are out there.
So there's probably a few layers to all of this, and one layer, for example, might be understanding who the developers are that exist inside of Dubai. There's another layer about communities, key features of those particular communities. Then there's the development itself. So there might be facilities that are inside of that development, payment plans that are offered, completion dates, some of those things that are all going to fall into the mix. So you're effectively sorting through all of those things to then come up with what might be the perfect set of recommendations for a particular client, whether or not it's going to be a future home that they would live in, whether or not it's purely just an investment, whether or not they're already in Dubai and they've done a transaction before, or whether or not they're discovering it and trying to evaluate, maybe making their first international purchase. It's really important to get that right, because else you can spend a lot of time with a client that might not actually do a transaction when there's someone else that you could spend 20 or 30 minutes with, which is really well invested, which could actually produce you a couple of transactions. How important is it literally to make sure that you've got really good quality discipline around who the key people are and what you're doing for follow-up and follow-through until you get them to a point where they're ready to purchase?
I think when you start, and I've seen this with many people who start an off-plan, they basically go after everybody. Anybody that's inquiring.
There's a heartbeat, that'll do.
There's a heartbeat, there's a possibility of selling them a property, they will go after them.
Yeah.
And I think over time you certainly learn who's the person you've got to spend time with and who isn't. I don't think it's something that's, unless you've been in sales all your life or something, and then you have a very good understanding of people's body language, people's what they're saying, their tonality, etc. But I think when you first start, it's probably a good idea to go after everybody, because then you'll learn. You'll learn
who's a waste of time.
You'll learn who's a waste of time to an extent, but you also learn by your mistakes. Even today, I have far too many meetings than actually closing, because I always think at every meeting I have, it's a possibility to learn something. And it's learned something about people's motivation. It's learned about, why they're coming to live in Dubai, why they're investing. And it's always a good information to go and then tell as a story to the next guy that I talk to.
And the skill is always about like learning some very simple methodology. And this is what I love what you've done with Haus and Haus, where you're really training the teams of the future around the cause. So simple philosophy like problem, timeline, destination. What's the problem the client's trying to solve by potentially buying a property off plan? What timeline are they working with? So how soon before they need to do something? How soon before they want the financials to hit? And is there a particular payment plan which is going to be of more benefit? And then in addition to that, destination location. So what locations are they considering? Is it something that they might live in themselves, or is it purely for investment purposes only? Are they hoping to on-sell it before it's even completed? Or are they looking for completion and to then go and lease it out? Like those sorts of questions that we've got to call them decision trees, right? So they start here, go there, start there, go there, start there, go there. And literally off the back of that, then you'll then work out how we get them through to the end of the maze.
Yeah, we're consultants. We're consulting with people. But on the other hand, there is another flip side to that, which is actually if you do have a really good project you really believe in, make loads of phone calls and just say, look, I've got this project. Are you interested in it? That's another way of doing it.
That's the difference. We've got buyers or clients who would be very specific on what they want, and that actually could be a knowledgeable decision on being specific. But we also get clients who think they know what they want, but have very little experience of the Dubai market, which you'll learn from the first conversation. And it's those clients that they want the recommendations, they want our advice. What do you think is the best thing to buy in Dubai? And then we can provide that information and the data for them to make that decision, because we're not just saying, oh, you should buy this because we think it's great. We're saying you should buy this because of this, and this. All of these factors make it a very good investment.
Exactly.
It's an important conversation to get right, because you're in the business of selling confidence, right? That the buyer's got to have confidence not only in the project but also to you. Why do people make the decision to choose an off-plan agent as opposed to buying direct from a developer?
Well, I like to tell this story because I think it's very important. So, when a buyer is dealing directly with a developer agent, what this buyer is forgetting is that developer agent works for the developer. So their job is to sell that developer stock. So if they've got a direct buyer, now what we know with some of these developers is they've got obviously some great units which are easy to sell, and they've got some units which are quite difficult to sell. They might have no view, might be a bad layout. Now we know that some of these developer agents get incentivized to sell the less desirable units. So if you've got a direct buyer who's being told by that developer agent that that's the best apartment available, and they believe them, they've made the wrong choice. Now, if they'd have come to me as their lawyer, if you like, or solicitor, for me to act with their interest, I'd have told that developer agent, that's not a good unit. I want that unit, please, which is the best unit at the best price with the best layout and the best view. So that buyer has turned out with a much better apartment than what they would have done had they gone direct.
So better quality advisory. And that whole idea is that literally you're buying knowledge, and also too that literally it's cross-selling, that if this one doesn't suit, let me show you an alternate project for consideration.
Yes.
And these are the reasons why you might like it.
So your developer, he's been well trained in his particular development or project or product that they're selling. But once they've sold it, that's it. You're just a number. You'll get moved on to handover or to finance, etc. Whereas we as agents at Haus and Haus, and I hope many other good agents, we're holding their hand right through to handover, to maybe they want to resell it, they want to rent it, they want to have it managed, and any problems along the way. We're there to hold their hand and help them out and advise them. Whereas a developer, you sell that property, gone, done. They don't even quite often even do the paperwork. It's just gone. And now they get on with the next guy.
So when the client buys with us, the other services we provide, long-term leasing, short-term leasing, snagging, property management, I don't know of any developer that offers property management or snagging.
Or finance or mortgages.
So we can offer the whole service of buying the right property with all the safeguards. And all the after service. A developer, you buy the property, you're a number in the system, thank you, next. Big difference.
So tell me about what does a great day look like if you're an off the plan salesperson?
10 sales?
Yes. I do get that.
12.
But outside of that, in terms of the daily disciplines, is there a certain time you like to get into the office? Like, run me through what that looks like. When do you start making calls? When do you start returning calls?
We like getting in early.
Yeah. Has that always been the case?
Yeah, I think both of us we're in the office.
And Simon and Luke.
We're in the office well before 9 o'clock. The office hours here at House 9 till 6 officially, but some people are there well before 9. And then for me personally, it's reading the press, just understanding what's happened overnight, etc. All the new developments that are coming in, reading through my WhatsApp messages, the groups that we belong to, and then understanding any emails, etc. And then it's about a lot of admin. There's a lot of admin when you sell off-plan property, and if you do a lot of off-plan property, there's even more admin. And then it's about I spend my afternoons on the phone. I know the best time to phone people is in the morning, but most of my clients are overseas, and they're on 3-4 hours behind us. So I tend to spend my afternoons on the phone talking to people or having Zoom calls with people. That's really my day. And then the end of the day, I'd like to think that I plan and know what I'm doing the following day and have everything in place for that, and I'm ready to go again.
Well, what percentage of your transactions have you never physically met the client?
20%.
So 80% will still come.
I've got some people I've sold on WhatsApp. I mean, I'm sorry to say it doesn't happen very often. But if their English isn't good, I've sold.
Yeah, because a lot of the off-plan buyers were during COVID, so we wouldn't have met any of them in person. I mean, that's another thing that Dubai did very well. When COVID hit, I mean, actually to be able to do business and transact, Dubai was brilliant at it. They weren't affected like these other countries.
So the big conversation is that literally, if you start to think about my life, sounds like I'm coming to the office, I'm doing a fair few Zoom calls, I'm doing a lot of phone calls. Where's the funner side of off-plan? Like, is there the chance to go and see completed product, meeting the clients once the transaction's actually got to the point of full completion on the building? Like, is that where the rewarding things start to come in at, when those buildings are getting completed?
I think we were big believers and sellers in a project called Peninsula, which is starting to completion end of this year, beginning of next year. So I think next year 2025, because we sold a lot of Peninsula to our investors, who I believe are all very happy. So I think we're going to have quite a nice time taking our clients to see their finished apartments next year, because the project's looking fantastic.
And is that the good thing, like literally just like seeing people that have made really good quality decisions with you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, and now seeing that pay off, that they're getting a good rental return, or they're starting to get opportunities for capital growth?
I think the thing I really enjoy is possibly the whole process of start to finish in terms of qualifying the client, actually meeting them, whether it's a Zoom call or actually face to face, showing them around some properties. I love getting out the office and showing people Dubai and telling them the whole story behind it, maybe understanding them a bit more, getting to know them, and really understanding what their strategy is, etc. That's what I really enjoy.
So, Paul, let's talk a little bit about developers. How do you have a good relationship with developers to make sure that you're getting access to the best properties, but also to literally for whenever it gets a bit challenging inside of a transaction, that you've got someone to go to be able to work through whatever those issues may well be?
I don't think you can underestimate the importance of having a very good relationship with at least one of the developer agents of the good developers. So whether that's EMA, Nikhil, Maras, Ellington, Select, the ones we mainly deal with. If you have that personal relationship with them, where you're on a friend business relationship, my thought process is if there's everyone trying to buy this one unit, and they've got 3 people calling them, they're going to answer the phone to me because we've got that relationship. If there's no relationship with these developer agents, you're going to do less business. It's a fact.
Yeah, a lot of developers' staff as well, they move quite quickly. They're quite transient. If they don't make their targets, then they're out. And unfortunately, it's a fairly cutthroat job. So we have all got relationships with people who have been around for a while in some of these developers. So by definition, they tend to be good agents. They're very good. They can present well. They're good for our clients, etc. Our clients like them. We like them. They're good with admin, and they're good at helping us close business. So, I think it's incredibly important to get to have a good relationship with people.
We know that the developer agents, they're going to pick up the phone to Paul or Stephen from House and House, not Robin from Razzle Real Estate. And that will make a difference on the amount of business you're going to do over the year.
Sure.
That could be the difference in 5 or 10 sales.
So we like to call it the lifetime value of a customer, and there's not just one transaction in someone. So often they might buy a property, they do well with that, they come back and buy a second, or they buy a property, it gets completed. Then all all of a sudden they buy the next one because they want that next style of architecture. And if you go and have a look at the architecture of what was being built here in the 1990s versus 2027, like it's pretty unbelievable when you start to see the futuristic in terms of the design. You can spot a building that was built in 1990 here for sure every day of the week. But literally the new stuff that's coming through is some of the best designs that we've seen in the world. Is it important for people to start to think about multiple transactions rather than just one transaction in every single client interaction that they have?
I think it's down to how much money they've got.
Yeah.
But I mean, what we find is that the client who's got 1 million dirhams, that's probably all of their money they've got. And what you find is that you'll spend more time with that client with the 1 million dirhams to buy one property, whether it's a one bed or a studio, than dealing with the guys who've got 20 million dirhams or 100 million dirhams, where it's just transacting, well, what's the best investments? Here's a bit of an explanation. Yeah, we take that and that. So emotionally, you actually get involved more with the smaller deals.
Yeah, sure.
But your business head and your financial head has got to be switched on for the big investors as well.
And that's that whole conversation, is to actually understand if someone's coming from like a proper family where there's plenty of cash, or whether or not there's an insto or somewhere behind them to actually assist in that purchase, versus literally to somebody who's buying it just for themselves. And all fish are sweet, small fish particularly, and it doesn't mean you can't help those smaller people out. The most important conversation is that once they buy that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the track, they might be coming to buy again. And if you start building that right over time, it's a big difference.
I think everybody's got a story where someone came to them and bought a studio and ended up buying 25. We've all got that story.
Yeah.
So it's...
How long does it take in off-plan for me to start out before I would first get to a point of A, meeting budget, and then B, starting to make some money in Dubai?
You as a new agent?
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is down to your own enthusiasm. You know, if you're passionate and you really want to do the job, and you can have a conversation, you will be successful. If you're just the slightest bit half-hearted, the chances of failure multiply times 10. You've got to be fully invested for at least the first 6 months. Forget going out every weekend, forget all your socialising, get yourself into Dubai, get a name for yourself, do some deals, get established and carry on. Then go out for a few beers in 6 months' time.
I would tell almost anybody that's thinking about coming into off-plan or into any sales job within the real estate business is first 6 months are going to be hard. And then probably first 3 years before you really start doing well. The thing is, it doesn't ever get any easier. You just get better at it. That's it.
And there's just more of it.
You could never stop learning.
Exactly. You just got to be persistent, and don't expect. Look, we've got stories. Again, there's stories about people who are joining our company, and within a couple of weeks they've done some amazing deals. It doesn't happen very often, and they certainly don't expect that to happen.
So let's talk a little bit about like areas of knowledge that you'd need to gain. The first one that I've got here is about learning areas. Because Dubai is growing so much, there's so many different areas that are popping up out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden you see it, and there are certain communities which are demanding significant price tags because of their locations. How does someone learn an area? What's the easiest way for them to know about what's going on in that location?
Look, there's so many resources available to people now. There's Property Finder, there's all the portals. We've got Property Monitor, which is sort of linked to the Dubai Land Department, that shows all the sales that's happening. We've got people within teams. The teams will tell people what they should do and what they should do. I say to all my new guys, get in your car at the weekend and drive around and get lost, basically, and just go and have a look at some of these properties and some of these areas and get a much better understanding of what you're talking about. You cannot do it sitting in your desk.
And I love that whole concept about jump out of the car, go for a walk, and just get a bit of an idea about what's actually going on in that area. Is it not in July, but definitely in December?
The difference is if you've never been somewhere, I know it's obvious, you've never been there. If you've been somewhere once, you can say you've been there 50 times.
Yeah, sure.
Go everywhere in Dubai at least once. So when you're speaking to clients and they ask about an area but no one's been to and you've been to it, this guy knows what he's talking about, I'm going to stick with him.
So I think that I was in the car with Simon Baker, one of the founders, and he took me to 25 different communities over the course of a day. And the benefit of that...
He probably did.
But
he drives fast.
We had a good chance to have a bit of a chat, but literally we got to see lots of different things, and so it gave me a really good understanding of, okay, great, this is a bit more lower density, this is a bit more higher density, this has really got access to the main roads, this this one not as much. Geez, this takes a long time to get back down into the central business district, doesn't it? So you start like learning all of those things, and that's important because a Google map doesn't give you that. Like you can get a bit of a concept idea, but you've actually got to get into the detail.
Look, to be honest, Paul and I have had the benefit of being here a long time before Google Maps, where we've seen these projects from nothing, and we arrived, probably there was 1 or 2 projects in Dubai that you could maybe 3 or 4.
There was, I tell you what it was, of the 6 original towers in the marina, when I arrived, that 4 had been built. So there's 4 buildings in total in the marina, no JBR.
Wow.
So we have that benefit, of course. Most probably. I think Paul and I would both admit we've probably forgotten more than we actually know. Today, but it's tough. But really, I
it's very enjoyable.
I despair of people who don't actually get in their car and go and have a look around, because that's the only way you're going to learn. It really is.
So let's talk about transactions. How do you become really good at it? Because obviously you've got to talk people through a series of steps in making sure their payments are coming in and everything's landing the way that it should be, and that you're in a position that you get them in a position that they've agreed on price and all of that sort of stuff. Are there any things that you say, hey, you know what, follow a checklist, follow a system to make sure that everything's done and is compliant?
100%. If you have qualified that client properly and they're ready to buy and they've said all, they're saying all the right buying signals, they're giving you the right buying signals, the process of actually booking an apartment is, for all intents and purposes, is very simple. We can do it. You can be anywhere in the world. You don't need to come here. Your money doesn't need to be here immediately. Everything can be done online via WhatsApp, by email, and by what else is there? Courier.
This is the differences between completed and off-plan. So when you do an off-plan sale, the hard part is getting up for them to agree and to buy that property, because you're selling a dream, or you're selling a vision of what that is going to be,
which they may not touch physically for 1, 3, 5 years, right?
Yes. So once they've said yes and it's agreed, they pay a deposit, our job effectively is done. So obviously we're going to manage that client, but that's over. So the difference with resales is, even once the price is agreed, that really is the start of a whole new process.
Sure.
That is the main differences between off-plan and resales. Once they say yes to us, we're 90% now. Once they say yes in resales, they've just gone through the first stage, and they've got a few more stages to go through.
So for someone who doesn't understand off-plan, obviously there's some differences about the payment methodology. There's the conversation around payment plans that are available, and different developers offer different payment plans. How does it work in terms of getting paid as an off-plan salesperson? Do you get paid your entire amount at the moment the deposit's paid? Do you get paid on the completion of the project? How does that generally work?
So you have to wait for your payment. It takes time. If you get paid in a month or so, that's pretty unusual.
Okay.
You have to wait 3 to 6 months to get paid, quite frankly. And you won't get paid until the sales and purchase agreement, at the very least, has been signed and returned to the developer. That's, for all intents and purposes, the end of your admin job. And then you start having to look after the client and answering all his problems and questions between then and handover and after handover. But you'll get paid, what do you think, between a month and 3 months?
Yeah, I mean, literally every developer has got different timelines. Some are 2 weeks, some are 12 months. That's how it is.
Yes, yeah.
And so
the more you have, the more sales you have, the more relaxed you'll be in the fact that you've always got money coming in.
So is that why you're so relaxed after 20 years in the gig?
Absolutely. But you to be honest, if you saw how much money I was owed right now,
yes, But that's the whole idea is that, like, initially when you come in, I guess that as a foundational off-plan salesperson, how does all this work? So if I'm thinking about, product knowledge, then I'm thinking about developer knowledge, then I'm thinking about payment plans, then I'm thinking about deal knowledge, now I'm thinking about income. Okay, now that I've got all those things happening, the secondary part is that then I've got to be very disciplined, because ultimately there's a bit of a difference. There's no instant gratification. So I've done a transaction today, but that's actually when the income starts. So if you're coming thinking that I'm going to make income this afternoon, and you're going to have that in the bank account tomorrow morning, it's not a paid job like that. You're actually going to have to wait some time out for that to occur.
You wouldn't let anybody come to Dubai and start a job in real estate with at least 6 months money in the bank, because if it's any less than that, you're putting yourself under immediate pressure to make income. If you know that for 6 months you can learn the job, get good at it, without having to say things you might not really want to say, relaxingly get into it, it's a huge difference.
So out of all the people that you've seen that have come, that have tried, and those that have really made it in off-plan, what are some of the unique characteristics about those people?
I can tell you the people that don't make it. We we explain the process to people. The process of how you get to speak to a client, how you qualify that client, and how you take them to the point of them making a decision. The people that fail are the people that ignore that and decide they want to do it their way. Honestly, that's the thing. Unless you're very experienced and you've been doing this for years, you can't waver from that basic process. Follow that, you'll do well.
One of the big things that I've noticed a lot is that like Haus & Haus has really separated itself because of the real design to become highly professional around what it is that we do. And that as a brand, we decided that we wanted to become the role models. And that's not about egoism, literally, but we just didn't believe in the common enemy approach. We're not worried about what other firms do, but we're very focused about what Haus & Haus does. And in that professionalism, because I have heard some people go, oh, they're too corporate. To me, we're not corporate at all. We're just a very professional organisation that's clear about what we do. We have a set of values by how we actually go and live out the day. We're in a position that we have a set of service lines and how we can go to service the client, that we are an end-to-end as a part of that transaction. And beyond that, we actually fundamentally really care about the transaction and ultimately what it means for both buyer and seller, both the developer in this case, and also in the buyer who goes to buy, and then later on the future tenant and owner who becomes the landlord. The skill has actually been getting to documentation. And one of the things that Haus & Haus has done very well over the last 18 months in particular is about its movement towards its knowledge base, where it has really thought through with the right forms what are the best questions to qualify a buyer. Then literally what are the tools that you might need inside of a property transaction, from explaining what we actually do in terms of payment plans to foreign exchange to what actually is the requirements to the visas that are available in the UAE, all of those things. How much is that helping the future generation of salespeople to be able to have better knowledge faster and to be in a position that they can actually go with real confidence to be able to talk with a buyer in a much shorter period of time than when we first began in doing off-plan?
I think what we've done over the last couple of years in improving every facet of the company. We as managers, we have a team. I think we're good mentors for that team, so we're there to answer any questions. No one's micromanaging anybody in this company. It's you can do what you want to do. It's your business. Treat it like your business. But we will help you. And then we have all these other, as you say, knowledge base, etc., where everything is there, the podcast, the training, the processes, it's all there. And it's essential. It's absolutely essential. You know,
the levels of support you get at Haus & Haus, you don't get at other companies. You get it's layer after layer. Yes. I mean, the help that you get at Haus & Haus as a new person. You know, I in my professional life, I've been working for 30 years. I know that Haus & Haus, you get the best support that I've ever experienced in my 30 year of working. You know, so when you do start out, whether it's knowledge base, whether it's speaking to your manager, whether it's listening to what people say, because just being out in that office when people are in and they're bouncing off each other, oh, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? You're learning all the time. And Haus & Haus offers that because of their setup. You know, going into a small, quiet office on the second floor. You know, there's two people in there with one receptionist. There's nothing going on. There's no excitement. There's no talking. That's not going to excite you to want to sell and get on the phones. Haus & Haus provide that for you automatically, and then you have the support to back that up.
And what's so important as well, I think what differentiates us is many of these other real estate companies, there is this internal competition, and it's quite fierce in certain places.
Toxic.
Toxic, exactly, almost toxic. Whereas I think here, the whole culture of Dubai,
Haus & Haus is, let's go again with that,
is very much collaborative. Everybody is, to mostly is helping each other, and everybody's pleased that everybody's doing well or not doing well. They'll help them, etc. I think you know, we've got trainers in every team now on the floor, always there answering questions, helping people out from day one.
So let's talk about the age profile and demographic of the people that have been successful in off-plan. So how young are they? How old are they? What sort of backgrounds have they come from?
No, I don't think. I think you could be a very confident 21-year-old, or you could be a a very stamina-based 60-something-year-old with lots of energy and stamina. You could be successful either way. Honestly, you could.
Yeah, and this is the big conversation.
It's attitude.
It's got nothing to do with age.
And how much is technology changing the job? Like
massive.
So that whole idea about like Zooms, now getting into a position, voice notes are massive in Dubai.
When me and Stephen were working together in 2005, we can remember getting the DVDs ready, or even the VHS video and the brochure, and then putting it all in a package to send to the client in the UK.
Wow.
And then they'd send an email asking for floor plans. 3 days later, they'd get the floor plans. And then they'd ask for something else, which was going to take 2 weeks. Now, all of that just took 2 weeks, I've just done in 20 seconds on WhatsApp.
Sure.
Not that I'm saying that you shouldn't get on the phone. I hasten to add.
Yeah.
But just through technology, speed is amazing.
But it's amazing. Like I've been out with you guys where we've gone to the launch of a new project, and you'll go there, and there might be 2,000 to 2,500 different agents across Dubai that will be there at that project, and all of a sudden everyone's seeing it for the first time. And then the info packs then come out, and inside of those info packs, it's got all the details about pricing and the various products that are available. The difference that I see is that literally you then go back and identify which you believe are the best parts of that project, and then you then go and literally identify who you believe are the best clients to purchase that. You'll go back to your previous clients to see if they want to go and buy again. You'll deal with any fresh inquiry that comes through, and you'll actually put the ball down on successful transactions. Now, to me, that was a real eye-opener, because I see a lot of people like, oh yeah, we'll just stream it on Instagram and hope that it helps. No, hang on a second. These 5 people should be buying in that building, and what we're doing here is we're really starting to think about the long-term value of that customer. Now, why this is so critical is literally when you walk into a business that's got over 10 years worth of data or data, 10 years worth of relationships now, you're now seeing people come back from multiple transactions, and this is where about really understanding who are your top 100 customers for off-plan based on volume of transactions, and who are your top 100 customers based on the amount that they've spent. And they can be different things, because someone can buy a really big property, but they don't necessarily buy lots of them, versus you've got other people that can buy lots of smaller properties as a part of a portfolio. And this is really, I think, where the difference is, that the future is so exciting here in what we've got to do in off-plan, is that all of these projects that we've already sold, as they start to come to the point of completion, then a lot of those customers are then coming back in to say, hey, we're now going to sell it on the retail market, and we're going to go back in and buy again, directly from the developer for those next projects. And with the flexibility of what's actually happened with the payment plans, it's like nothing that I've seen in any other market around the world, that you've got that ability to be able to have time to be able to literally place your bets on which you think are going to be the best buildings and the best developers, with the right guidance and advice about what's actually happening in areas. One of the things that I think really has separated it is that literally we go to see what's actually happening around the world, and Dubai is seen as being one of the safest places. Outside of that, it's also a financial hub. Outside of that, it's continually diversifying its income streams. I think I read a story the other day that the Dubai Mall alone has over 100 million visitors a year. I made the mistake of walking in there the other night, and it was absolutely packed. And the interesting conversation is that what you actually realise, that when you think about it, and I've heard people describe Dubai as the going to be the New York or the Las Vegas of India and China, where you've got 2 of the biggest populations in the world that actually come here as a mecca for tourism, a mecca for holidaying, a mecca to come and live. And now with new visa classes that are coming out, including ones for retirement, it's a completely different world where they're opening up to different segments or target markets that no one else in the world seems to be really narrowing down or focusing on. What are your thoughts on that?
I'll tell you one thing which I think is interesting. So definitely when we first came, I can't remember ever having a conversation with somebody who was going to retire in Dubai. So now that is obviously people are retiring in Dubai. But a thing which has been happening for the last few years, which I think is a very good sign. So my 2 boys, they went through the school system in Dubai. They both left when they was 18, whether to travel or go and work in London and etc. They didn't, neither of them expected to come back. Anyway, they've travelled the world, done their things. After a couple of years, they have come back. Both of them consider Dubai as their home. Now, the school kids they went to school with, say, years ago, when they got to 18, they saw Dubai as a bit small, a bit boring. They go back to Europe, they go back to Australia, they go back to US or whatever. They maybe not come back to Dubai. 9 out of 10 of the school kids that have gone to school in Dubai, now come back to Dubai to live afterwards. So they've gone around the world, seen it's not very good. Oh, Dubai actually is pretty good. Let's go back. That's what's happening.
And your thoughts on, like, literally the future? Like, imagine this, right? You go to school and you go and talk to your careers advisor. pretty sure the cruise advisor didn't turn around to any of us and say, you should consider off-plan sales in Dubai. Is that true? Like my school cruise advisor said to me, you should be an accountant.
So when I was at school,
yes,
I don't think Dubai existed. Did it? Schools. So schools. Yeah, we had schools.
Yeah,
we had black and white TV and everything.
Yeah.
But no, look, I remember being offered a job in Dubai 20 odd years ago and having to. I didn't even go on Google because it didn't exist. I think I went on Ask Jeeves to find out what Dubai was and where it was. I mean, it's what they've done in 20 years is incredible. I think the next 20 years is as much, if not more, exciting. It really is.
Well, Sorry, Stephen. You think about Dubai. So 10, 15 years ago, it was, Dubai's Dubai, and it was not really taken seriously. You know, is it Disneyland in the desert? Is it going to work? Now you look at Dubai, it's considered a major city in the world. It's considered in the top 10. Now, just to add to that, it's not in the top 10 prices, by the way. So all the people are saying Dubai is expensive. They want to do a bit more research. But the difference in 2024 compared to 2014 or even before that is that Dubai is considered a major player in the world. It wasn't before, 2020? I don't think so. And just to add to that, just one example, when we're saying about the financial sector, DIFC at the beginning of 2021 had 1,500 registered companies. Now there's 6,000 registered companies. And that's going to continue to grow. So when you've got the financial business district of the Middle East, which can speak to Tokyo and Singapore in the morning, Europe during the day, and New York in the evening, you've got to think that's a pretty good bet. That's going to continue to grow.
And this is the great conversations that, like, literally they would have told us that maybe when we were little kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? Fireman. Policeman, as we were little kids. And then over time, we ended up, I might go and be an accountant, or I might go and do marketing, or I might go and do car sales. But literally tell us, why should someone be saying, you know what, off-plan's going to be for me, and it's the sort of career you could do for the rest of your life?
Look, the benefits of doing well in this economy and in this job are immense. It's not all parties at the beginning, it's not all fast cars, but it can be, and if you work hard, you can make an awful lot of money, and you can build a property portfolio, you can make some really good connections, and you can do really well. I don't know what to say, just the opportunities are there, it's being laid out on the table for you. There's people around who can prove that it works. We can show you how it works. You just need to come along, join us, and then you can, if you persevere and you work hard and you have some patience, and patience is very important in this job, you will do extremely well. I mean, I don't know, Paul and I think we're okay, aren't we?
We're okay.
Yeah, we've done okay.
And Paul, is the most enjoyable part, like mentoring and growing people, seeing people that turn up, literally come to Dubai, work as a part of your off-plan team, and then go on to be wildly successful because of the advice that yourself and Stephen have been able to give them?
I really like that, to be honest. I really enjoy seeing my team. I'll get a bit emotional about that. I really enjoy my team doing well based on wanting to learn and wanting to listen. And when you see them listening and learning and then performing and closing deals, and that's partly because of what you've told them before, it's quite satisfying and it's very nice. It's nice to see people you've helped make lots of money. It is, actually.
Yeah. And I think this is the big thing, is that, like, when you're considering a career, you've got to really think, what's it like? And I did study to be an accountant, but I never actually realised what it was like. And day one of being an accountant, I quit on the spot because I didn't realise that you're just going to be stuck in an office building for the rest of your life, talking to no one, doing numbers. I thought, you know what, I've got more of a life than this. And this is now a chance that literally you can get out there, you can go and see communities, you can understand what's going on, you can see the latest in architectural trends, you can be working with some people that can make some great investments based on your advisory. And this is your ability to be able to see different builders, different developers, having a conversation around what it actually looks like, and then helping people to actually not only build great wealth, but also live a great life in the products that you get to sell them. And then you can sell them multiple products over that period of time. This is like a once in a lifetime career where you're working in what I would effectively say is the off-plan mecca of the world, with some of the most futuristic thinking that we've seen, with an incredible plan laid out for 2040 and beyond. They're now starting to think, is the 2071 plan, I think I saw the other day? Yeah, where they're talking about what it actually looks like 100 years since Dubai became a country, and what they want to be and how they want it to be a land of talent. So if you've got opportunity and you've got skill set, then Dubai is definitely the place to be. And Off-Plan is a phenomenal service line sitting inside of Haus & Haus. Gentlemen, thank you so much for spending your time with us, but most importantly for your great mentorship, but also too for what it is that you're doing to spearhead this as an incredible service line in the group.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Josh.
Cheers.